You call yourself a man? You know you're a lying, low-life, motherfucking gambling degenerate prick. You know that's what you are?
Well, hello you degenerate fucks, and welcome to the Degenerate Gambler. It is Wednesday the 9th of October, and just back with another episode. Premier League is back this week, EFL was back last week. Bets were all a lot of near misses. Well, I'll talk about that as well. Have a quick look at the stats from last week and give my two bets for this week. Last week I was having a bit of problems with my mic. There was still, I did a wee test earlier and they were still the same. There's some interference. So I'm recording this without a mic. So we'll see how it goes, and then if not, I'll maybe have to buy a new one for next week. So look, quickly, I'll get on to the main bet on the bets from last week in general. So, first team in the last week's bet was Middlesbrough, and they lost 1-0. It was a late goal. What are you going to do? Tough game. Norwich, who were behind, ended up winning 2-1 in the last minute. Blackpool won easy, and Bolton won as well. The other team was Rangers, who, that was a big shock, because they were, I think, 4-9 when I backed them, and they ended up at 2-5, which I did say I think would happen. The overs bet was very unlucky, so Plymouth and Huddersfield was up, Sutton Notts County was up, Wrexham MK Dons was up, Maidenhead and AFC Fylde was up, and the one that beat it was Peterborough. Now, going into half-time, just before half-time, there was goals in every game. Some games had 2, but the Peterborough game was nillies, and then they scored right before half-time, and I was like, right, that's perfect. That's all you want, you know, everybody to score before half-time, give you a good chance. But it was the way it stayed. One thing I mentioned this on Twitter on, I think, Sunday, was obviously with the amount of injury times being played now, I do think that overs bets, whether it's 1.5 or 2.5 on both to score, could be a good pick this year, because you're going to get late goals. Like I say, in the Middlesbrough game, alright, it was only for 1 goal, but that was late. The Norwich game, I think Norwich was like 90 plus 7 or 90 plus 8. So if you're going to get, you know, basically 100-minute games, in fact they are 100-minute, because you're getting 2 and 3 minutes, 4 minutes sometimes at the end of the first half, so they're over 100-minute games. Goals, late goals and stuff is going to be better, or going to be a good pick. What I would say is the bookies will catch on and they'll start cutting. The other thing I said about was, and I put this up on Twitter I think on Sunday, was the amount of cards gave out in the first weekend. Lots of cards. It was cards with 10 and 7, 8 cards per game. Some of the leagues, I think League 1 and League 2 average like 5 points something, or almost 6 cards a game. Now, when I looked on Sunday before I did a bet, the bookies seemed to have caught on to that already, and they were offering, because when you go on to most bookmakers, they'll have like their, what they believe it's going to be, so they'll have like a 10 to 11 or even money over under a certain number of cards, and normally it would be 2.5, maybe 3.5, but in the games I looked at were 4.5 and 5.5, so the bookies may have caught on to this already, and, you know, have cut the prices, but the cards may be a way to go for certain bets, obviously with bet builders and stuff. So that was Saturday. The evening bet wasn't great. I think it was actually terrible. Rochdale over 2 was beat. I stuck Rangers in again, being a dick. I shouldn't have done that. That was beat. Schalke 1, Auxerre 1. Zurich, both the score wasn't up. And neither was whatever the last one. I wrote it down. I can't even read my own writing. Going on to Sunday. I had a few bets on Sunday. First bet was Leicester to win. They came back and won. Leeds, Hibs both beat. Midtjylland both to score was up, and Nuremberg both to score, that was up. Then Sunday evening's one was very close again. So Salzburg -1 was up, both to score in the Sunderland game up. I did Midtjylland the game, but I did it both to score on over 2. That was up. Lillestrøm both to score was up, and then I did Bodo Glimt to beat Viking. I should have maybe thought about covering that. It wasn't paying that much. I think it was paying like 80 quid, 89 quid, so it wasn't paying a huge amount. But I probably should have went in and covered that. Bodo were 6-5 favourites. They went 2 down, came back to 2 each, and then lost 3-2 later on. But again, looking at those games, so Leicester again scored late. The Midtjylland goal I'm near sure was late, even though they were down to 10 men, and I think the Nuremberg one. So these injury time goals are going to be a factor. But overall on the weekend, so I had my bet builder on Friday night where what did I win? £38-39, something like that. I had a horse on Saturday that won 57 quid for like £2 odd stake. So that was good. And then also I did the boost in the Community Shield final, which was both teams to have over 2.5 shots on target. Now, look, I didn't post that because look, I don't always post every single bet, but I always add them to my profit loss. But things like that, you don't need me to tell you whether you're going to do that or not. Some of them I do, some of them I don't. I only put 5 on it or something that's 6-4. It was $12.50 I got back. But what it meant was that it reduced the money that I put in on Sunday. Now that $12.50 ended up losing it on Tuesday. But anyway, the EFL Cup games last night were terrible. A lot of shocks. There was 14-1 winner. There was a couple of 3-1 winners, 4-1 winners, 2-1. So the EFL Cup has been left alone. I'll be posting a bet shortly for tonight's EFL. Well, there's only one. I think 1 or maybe 2 EFL games in it because, in fact, I think there's 1 because I try to stay away from it. But anyway, let's get into Saturday's bets. So I haven't done the fractional odds or the decimal odds for these, but Saturday's main bet is going to be just a quad, and then the overs bet will be a 5-timer. So first team is Palace away to Sheffield United. Of the Premier League games which I looked at, it was really the only one where I felt like there was either a decent price or had a good chance of winning. Some of the other games, Arsenal are like 2-11. Newcastle are at home to Villa, I think, isn't it? But that's a tough game. Let me just get the Premier League up here 1 second. Premier League. Yeah, so Newcastle are 3-4 against Villa, a good Villa side. So look, I wouldn't back that to win. But the other games like Everton 6-5, no thanks. So there wasn't a lot to bet on, and again, there's no form to go on here, other than Palace have been doing well at the end of last season under Roy Hodgson. So that's the first one. Palace away to Sheffield United at 7-5. Oh, I have done the decimal, which is 2.4. Next, again, drop right out of all the leagues. So Scunthorpe at home to Peterborough Sports. They're 4-6. Again, look, we're talking. There's no form. It's 1 game into the season. They did win their first game, Scunthorpe, which was away from home, 2-1. But Peterborough won their first game at home. But as I've said, I've backed Scunthorpe to win that league. I think they're the biggest team and best team in that league, and they've kept most of their good players. Next, go to Scotland, Dumbarton in Scottish League 2. Now I say Dumbarton drew their first game, and so did Spartans, who they play. But in recent season, Dumbarton have been a decent side in that league. They've got a decent home record, but again, it's a new season, so it is kind of up in the air. Price on that is 1.8. I didn't do the Scunthorpe one, 4.6 or 4-6. I don't know what that's probably about 1.75 or something. But anyway, Dumbarton home to Spartans 4-5. That's 1.8. Lastly, staying in Scotland, going to the Scottish Championship, Queen's Park at home to Ardbroath 8-13, which is 1.62. Again, early season, Queen's Park won their first game. Ardbroath lost, but they lost to Dundee, who's again probably the biggest team in that league. But Queen's Park had a good run at the end of last season, have a reasonably good home record. So I just think they'll get that done. In total, that's 10.6 to 1, so it's paying about 116 for the tenner. So that's the main bet. Now moving on to the overs, and again, there's no form here. There's nothing you can really do other than maybe their first game and just do the historically scored goals. So Brighton and Luton, I think Brighton can maybe win that game 3-0, but Brighton and Luton 8-13, that's 1.62. Newcastle Villa, as I said, I couldn't back a winner, but 2-1 either side could be. 4-5, that's 1.8. Watford Plymouth 10-11, that's 1.91. With that one, Watford scored 4 in their first game. Plymouth have scored over 2. They've been over 2 in both their games in the League Cup as well. So that's my thinking there. Exeter Blackpool 17-20, that's 1.85. Southampton Norwich 10-11, that's 1.91. So in total that comes to about 18-1. So you're getting close to 100, about 90 something back I think for your fiver. So that's the 2 bets. Say I'll post them. I'll probably post these on Friday night or maybe early Saturday morning, because I'm actually heading away for the day with the family. So I'll get these out a bit earlier because I probably won't be able to once I'm out. Then looking ahead to midweek, we have our first fixture list of the midweek, a full fixture list, which is always good. So Tuesday night we'll have a full fixture list in League 1, League 2, 11 in the National, a full fixture in the National League North, 12, 10 in National League South. There's 10 Champions League qualifying games. There's 6 games in Northern Ireland Premier League, and there's 10 of those Scottish Challenge Cup games, which have sort of been they started in pre-season and now they're still just sort of finishing off. Wednesday, not so much. There's 2 National League games, 2 National League South, 1 Europa Conference League, and 2 Scottish Challenge Cup. So not a lot on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we're Europa League, 7 Europa League, 32 Europa League Conference. So look, yep, that's the first episode we've been able to go through a bet from last week. But before I let you go, Lynn, I usually do this at the start, but I'm going to do it at the end now. So stats. So last week there was 71 games across Championship to National League South. So I'll go through. So every league had 12 except for League 2, which had 11 because there was a game postponed. So that's the total number. So Championship, 7 favourites, 3 draws, 2 outsiders. League 1, 7 favourites, 2 draws, 3 outsiders. League 2, 3 favourites, 2 draws, 6 outsiders in League 2. That's crazy, and that's the one that's from 11 games. National League, 4 favourites, 5 draws, 3 outsiders. National League North, 4 favourites, 3 draws, 5 outsiders. National League South, 8 favourites, 2 draws, 2 outsiders. So in total that was 33 favourites, 17 draws and 22 outsiders. And that worked out at 46%, which is decent. 46% of favourites won. But what I will say is there's a couple of leagues, sort of League 2, National League North let it down. Championship, League 1 and the National League South were all pretty big. So depends where you went there. As far as overs, so again we have 71 games, every league 12 except League 2. Championship, 9 over, 3 nat. League 1, 4 over, 8 nat. League 2, 6 over, 5 nat. National League, 7 over, 5 nat. National League North, 7 over, 5 nat. And National League South, 6 over, 6 nat. So in total that worked out at 54%, which is, that's good. That's pretty good. There was an overs bet out there. You see myself, I got pretty close in a league that had 9 games over in the Championship too. So I could have picked nearly off any other game and it would have been up. But look, let's hope those over stats continue, because towards the end of last season I didn't do overs because they were just so bad. They weren't touching. So if they continue like that and we're hitting 50, 55, 60% most weeks, I'll continue to persevere with overs, and I do think they will be better. So anyway, that's it for this week. It just leaves me to say, if you are doing a bet, good luck and happy ponding.
You call yourself a man? You're a lying, low-life, motherfucking gambling degenerate prick. That's what you are?